Hello, and welcome back to the Shakey Sonnet Show. I am Tootight Lautrec, the drag laureate of the Sonnetarium, and here we are once again in the Sonnetarium at the bottom of the down staircase in the permanently sequestered remainder section of an unnamed local library which seems to have two ever true, ever faithful, ever loving lions couchant on the front steps who seem to be guarding me right now. Then again, my eyes aren't what they once were when I was a young drag princess, so I'll just have to say they seem to be doing that. I don't know what is really happening out there. But what the eye sees and what the heart feels just so happens to be at the very center of the sonnets that we're going to be reading today, Sonnets 137 and 138. Stephen Booth kindly put together the numbers of the sonnets that are what he calls the I-heart sonnets, which include sonnets 24, 46, 47, 93, 132, 133, and 137 through 142, all of which tackle that thorny disparity between seeming and reality. Now, the last two sonnets that we looked at, sonnets 135 and 136, were direct addresses to the beloved, whereas 137 and 138, the sonnets we'll be looking at today, are contemplations. 137 is ostensibly a direct address to the love god, Cupid, but that's actually just a device for introspection, and sonnet 138 is just straight up introspection. So let's crack on and inspect those introspections. Beginning with sonnet 137. Sonnet 137. Thou blind fool love, what dost thou to mine eyes, that they behold and see not what they see? They know what beauty is, see where it lies, yet what the best is, take the worst to be. If eyes, corrupt by over-partial looks, be anchored in the bay where all men ride, why, of eyes' falsehood, hast thou forged hooks, whereto the judgment of my heart is tied? Why should my heart think that a several plot, which my heart knows the wide world's commonplace, or my eyes, seeing this, say, this is not, to put fair truth upon so foul a face? In things right true my heart and eyes have erred, and to this false plague are they now transferred. And yes, I pronounced it erred instead of erred because it rhymes. So, first quatrain, thou blind fool, love. Now, as I said, ostensibly it's a direct address to Cupid, the love god. So, and love is blind, we know. So thou blind fool, love. So it's possibly or probably Cupid on the surface. Or it could be, because it's an introspective poem, it could be me in love, the blind fool that I am. Or the third possibility, thou blind fool. Fool, according to both Booth and Patterson, was Elizabethan slang for penis. And they even cite a section in All's Well That Ends Well, Act 4, Scene 5, lines 20 to 36, and in King Lear, Act 1, Scene 4, lines 150 to 54, to bolster their assertion that fool is a Elizabethan slang for penis. So, you know, the penis wants what the penis wants and doesn't even necessarily, isn't able to distinguish between gradations of beauty, apparently. So here we have the standard Petrarchan convention, which is basically just blame Cupid for all the troubles, that little love god, to blame him for an infatuation that one simply can't otherwise explain to oneself. And I find this to be a very human quality. It's always much easier to recognize in retrospect when we see the foibles and the shortcomings of someone that we used to date. So for instance, when someone talks about a person you used to date and refers to them as your ex, and you say, oh no, that's not my ex, that's my Y. So hindsight is 20/20 and all that. But here we are in the moment, in the middle of a relationship, and thou blind fool, love, what dost thou to mine eyes, that they behold and see not what they see? They know what beauty is, see where it lies, yet what the best is, take the worst to be. I know what I should want. I know real beauty. Look at Sonnets 1 through 126. But I'm bewitched, bothered, and bewildered by this something more than beauty, or at least something other than beauty. But why? I can't understand why. And then we get to the second quatrain. If eyes corrupt, and by corrupt he means corrupted, if eyes are corrupted by over-partial looks, if they are anchored in the bay where all men ride. Now, it's getting a little nasty here. Whereas in 135 and 136, it was all kind of free and easy, slap and tickle hijinks, now the jealousy seems to be kicking in. The bay where all men ride is a pretty explicitly cutting remark about the new beloved's promiscuity. You know, the place where everyone has been. And the narrator seems to be saying, I'm in love with a slut, and at this point neither male nor female is identified as the recipient of this narrator's desire. And so the narrator could possibly be pining for the previous young man, but probably not, because the young man, as we know, was total beauty and perhaps not much more than that. So this seems to be a contemplation about the new lady love, a woman who, from what we've seen so far, is smart and free and wild and fun, in my estimation, and who seems to still be playing the field. She's not quite ready to settle down, and she's making the narrator crazy with jealousy in the process. So eyes corrupt by over-partial looks. My eyes have been corrupted by my partiality for this person, and now my heart has been hooked as well. If my eyes corrupt by over-partial look, be anchored in the bay where all men ride. Why of eyes falsehood hast thou forged hooks? She's hooked my heart as well. I see that she, and we'll call her she, because even though no gender is specified, we're going to follow 135 and 136 and assume that it's a she. I know that she's no good for me, but I can't help myself. And this is a poignant description of the confusion that love engenders when you know that the person isn't right for you, but you just can't quit them. So then we get to the third quatrain. Why should my heart think that a several plot, and several is a several plot is a private plot, severed from the common ground. I didn't know that etymology of several, but several plot that's severed from the common ground and is a private plot. Why should my heart think that a several plot, which my heart knows the wide world's common place, a public place, a place where anybody and everybody can go and probably has gone. So again, we get the slut shaming. Why am I in love with this person who's clearly still sleeping around? Am I that blind? I know she's doing dirty deeds with other dapper dudes behind my back. I know. I see it, but I look at her and I'm in love. What's wrong with me that I can't just snap out of it? I don't know. Can't figure it out. Then we get to the couplet. In things right true, well, first of all, I will say in line 12, to put fair truth upon so foul a face. There are some editors who believe that this is proof that the narrator is misogynistic and that he believes that the woman that he's talking about is ugly. I don't think that that's true. I think that when he's talking about someone whose deeds are foul, then the face that they put on to hide those deeds, or to the fake smile, for instance, looks ugly, but I don't think it actually means that this person he thinks is actually ugly, just the deeds. So then we get to the couplet. In things right true, my heart and eyes have erred, and to this false plague they are now transferred. I know I should want someone right and true, someone faithful and honest, but my heart and my eyes have both failed me, and I am plagued by this love of this person who has captured my eyes and my heart, and I am lost. Now, I can't help but noticing that our dear beloved narrator never once seems to consider what might be lacking in himself, that he can't hold the undivided attention of a lover. That's nowhere to be found in here. I'm just saying. Maybe that's something he might think about at some point further. So all the sex-positive hanky-panky that went on in 135 and 136 with couples and thruples and who knows, octets and neuftets, there seems to be a reconsideration of all that in Sonnet 137, where he's saying, yeah, sure, I'm cool with all that free love, but then again in 137, am I really cool with all that? I think I'm in love, and I want this person all to myself. So that's where we stand with 137, and from here we move on to Sonnet 138, which is another linguistically playful sonnet, like Sonnet 135, but instead of the word will that got so much traction in 135 and 136, Sonnet 138 plays with the word lie. And here we see Shakespeare's masterful dissection of the line between what seems and what is. Now, before I read it, I will say that Sonnet 138 was originally published in 1599 in The Passionate Pilgrim, and then apparently revised for the 1609 quarto, which was published 10 years later. And there seems to be some debate about that, whether it was revised or whether it's remembered differently. But what's clear, to me at least, is that Sonnet 138 here in the 1609 quarto version is a much better sonnet than the one that appeared in The Passionate Pilgrim. So I will link the 1599 version below so that you can compare the two yourselves. And I will mention also that in the link, lately I have been including the links from a particular source. It's a free and online source of all of Shakespeare's sonnets, and it's been invaluable to me, but for some reason I keep forgetting to mention it. It's by a British scholar, it's compiled by a British scholar, R.G. Ledger, about whom I know absolutely nothing. And it's fully free and online, and besides all of Shakespeare's sonnets with commentary, he also has included full sonnet cycles of many of Shakespeare's Sonnetarium compeers. So linking that below, check it out and explore to your heart's delight. And it is a bit of a delight, I must say. And I regret that I had forgotten to mention it earlier. So, Sonnet 138. When my love swears that she is made of truth, I do believe her, though I know she lies, that she might think me some untutored youth, unlearned in the world's false subtleties. Thus, vainly thinking that she thinks me young, although she knows my days are past the best, simply I credit her false-speaking tongue. On both sides thus is simple truth suppressed. But wherefore says she not she is unjust? And wherefore say not I that I am old? Oh, love's best habit is in seeming trust, and age in love loves not to have years told. Therefore I lie with her, and she with me, and in our faults by lies we flattered be. I just love that. So in the first quatrain, when my love swears that, hello, she is made of truth. When she pretends she's faithful, I know that she lies. I know that she lies to me, and I know that she lies with other men because she's not faithful. And then I pretend to believe her, and I act like a dumb young stud who doesn't know what the world is all about. And so I tell her that I believe her, and she thinks it's because I am a dumb young stud, that's the reason why, because I'm so young, I haven't seen that much of the world. That's pretty clear. Unlearned in the world's false subtleties. That's a very nice phrase, the world's false subtleties. Second quatrain. Thus, vainly thinking that she thinks me young, although she knows my days are past the best. No one wants to hear that, past the best. Simply I credit her false-speaking tongue. On both sides thus is simple truth suppressed. So then, now that I know that she lies to me, then I pretend to myself, vainly thinking, that she thinks I am as young as I pretend to be to her, even though I really know that she knows I'm not, because my days are past the best. And here is the basis of some happy moments in any kind of a relationship. On both sides, thus, is simple truth suppressed. Sometimes it's best to just keep things to yourself. That's all I'm saying. It's beautifully concise and it's very well expressed. Then we get to the third quatrain. But wherefore says she not, she is unjust? And wherefore say not I that I am old? We never actually say these things because talking about it would provide just a little bit too much information. And here we get another pearl of wisdom where she doesn't deny that she's unfaithful to me any more than I deny that I'm no spring ram. I know that she knows that I know she's free and easy, and she knows I know she knows that. Just as she knows that I know that she knows I'm more mature than I actually am letting on. So then comes this pearl of wisdom. Love's best habit is in seeming trust. And habit meaning a way of being, or also habit the way that you dress up your comportment or the way that you deal with one another. And here, seeming. Love's best habit is in seeming trust. It's not in trust, but it's in seeming trust. And there is no word that I associate more with Shakespeare's sonnets than the word seeming or seems. It's all over everywhere you look in these, and Shakespeare is constantly pitting the objective world against the subjective mind, outer appearance versus inner perception. And I think that this complicated inwardness plus his ability to have his narrator consider perspectives that exist outside the narrator's mind, where he considers the perspectives that are in the beloved's mind and in the world at large. This, to me, is what sets Shakespeare's sonnets apart from the somewhat selfish and stalkery, male desire-dominated sonnets of other sonneteers. So Sonnet 138 is a wonderful example of this, where we have the inner workings of the beloved's mind and motivations coming into conflict with and into accord with the narrators. And it all comes together beautifully and satisfyingly in the couplet. Therefore I lie with her, and she with me, and in our faults by lies we flattered be. She lies, and she lies with other men. I lie. First quatrain, she lies. Second quatrain, I lie. Third quatrain, lies are part of keeping the peace and probably forgetting a peace as well. And in the couplet, it comes together. The two become one. I lie with her, she with me, and in our faults by lies we flattered be. Everything condenses into the couple. We are together in our lies, and that works for us. We two are one. In our faults by lies we flattered be. So it's she, I, the relationship, and then the we together in the couplet. And brilliant. gorgeous, amazing, in my estimation. So, and if you do look at the $15.99 one, you'll see that it's quite a bit more clunky and doesn't have the panache and the flair that the 1609 quarto one does. So, is there a gender reveal? Well, there's no gender specified in 137, but 138, she for sure. And we can assume that 137 references a female beloved, but there's no textual proof. So when it stands alone, it can be about anyone. Dramatically, truth and lies, appearance versus reality. Lovers over here, cheaters over there. That's Shakespeare all over. Take your pick. Any play that you wish. Narratively, if we consider them as standalone poems, they're both deeply complicated explorations of the mind of a lover, and they are compelling and deceptively simple considerations of conflicting and complex emotional states in the constant battle between seeming and being. And they are really, truly amazing in my estimation. So that's how they exist as standalone poems. If we consider them as part of an ordered, numbered sequence and attempt to force them into a running narrative, then it seems like there's a lot of slap and tickle, but not much, hey honey, why don't we just stay at home tonight and, I don't know, talk, hang out, order sushi, and then read in bed later. There's a lot of slap and tickle, but there isn't much real domestic bliss. So 137 is quite tortured in my estimation, a lover who is smitten and in pain. And 138 is fun and funny and trying to make the best of things, but the narrator seems to be aware that it's more of a tightrope walk than a hand-holding stroll through the park. So it's looking pretty shaky, Shakespeare. I wonder what will happen next. Join me next time as we follow the wonder into the next sonnets. And we all know by now that wonder isn't just waiting for us in Shakespeare's sonnets. It's everywhere around us all the time. Pay attention. Until next time, I am Tootight Lautrec. Mwah.